are on the rise. I know.
Hi, I'm Fox San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our
Treasure Valley communities,
the El Paso, Las Cruces communities,
Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But
We are concerned about troubling and irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these stories simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 For Russia, whether Donald Trump was secretly working on behalf of Russia.
Whether Trump was secretly working on behalf of Russia.
Whether President Trump was secretly working on behalf of Russia.
Whether the president was secretly working with Russia against America.
Whether Trump was secretly working on behalf of the Russians.
Whether Trump was secretly working on behalf of Russia.
Whether President Trump was working on behalf of Russia.
Whether President Trump was working on Russia's behalf.
Whether the sitting president was secretly working for Russia.
Whether President Trump was working for Russia from the Oval Office.
I just want to deal in fact, because there is so much speculation out there, and there is zero evidence that Hunter Biden or Joe Biden did anything wrong here.
We should note, again, and you and I have said this in the air many times, there is no evidence that Joe Biden was, involved in any wrongdoing.
Of course, want to note that there is no evidence that Joe Biden or Hunter Biden has done anything wrong.
I just want to reiterate.
And let's be clear for the viewers.
There is no evidence Biden did anything wrong.
I'll note again, because it's important.
There is no, I repeat, no.
There is no evidence that either Biden did anything illegal.
There's been no evidence. There was no evidence.
There's no evidence.
There is no evidence.
There is not an iota of evidence.
No evidence Biden did anything wrong.
There's really
No evidence
That Joe Biden
Did anything wrong.
Nobody's ever accused there's no
evidence whatsoever that Joe
Biden did
Anything wrong.
Got that?
Joe Biden did nothing wrong.
Hunter Biden did nothing wrong. Biden's secret emails.
A really fishy story.
The Post claimed that the emails were found on a laptop computer that was brought to a repair shop in Delaware in the spring of 2019.
The FBI is now investigating whether those alleged Hunter Biden emails are actually connected to a larger foreign intelligence operation.
They may be related to a foreign intelligence operation.
Foreign intelligence operation.
Foreign intelligence.
Foreign intelligence.
foreign intelligence operation.
For all we know, These emails are made up.
The information found on the laptop may be part of a Russian disinformation campaign.
Part of a Russian disinformation effort.
Described by many intelligence experts as having hallmarks.
All the hallmarks of a Russian disinformation.
Russian disinformation
campaign.
This is a classic example of the right-wing media machine.
Don't drag the intelligence community into this. Hunter Biden's laptop is not part of some Russian disinformation campaign. The intelligence community doesn't believe that because there's no intelligence that supports that.
The mainstream media has done it again. If you watched President Trump's Oval Office address to the nation, you might be wondering, is there a humanitarian crisis at the border? But if you tuned into the news media, you were led to believe that it's a, quote, manufactured crisis.
I think that address probably should have come with a Surgeon General's warning. It was hazardous to the truth.
Well, there is no national emergency at the border. It's all made up. It's presidential fiction.
Because there clearly is no emergency. There's no reason for this on border security ground.
We don't have a crisis at the border.
Nothing has changed on the southern border. If the war was such a crisis, why wasn't that a priority? So it's a fake crisis.
The president is lying to the American people about a national emergency. There is no emergency at the border.
It all depends on, how you say there's a national emergency and a crisis at this moment when there wasn't one before.
What the president is doing is manufacturing a crisis.
There's a crisis going on there, and it needs to be dealt with, and Congress.
But is it a crisis just because you call it that?
First, networks debated on whether or not to cover the President of the United States' first Oval Office address. And now the mainstream media's go-to talking point is that this is a, quote, manufactured crisis by the Trump administration. Well, the United States is facing a humanitarian and security crisis on our border, regardless if the media wants to admit it or not. An estimated 60,000 unaccompanied children crossed our southern border over the course of 1 year. Law enforcement seized 2,400 pounds of fentanyl in 1 year. That's enough to kill millions of Americans. And according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, in 2017, more than 15,000 people died of drug overdoses involving heroin in the United States. That's about 288 deaths per week. Mexico is the primary source of heroin in the United States, according to the Drug Enforcement Administration. So those are the facts, and unlike the mainstream media, we'll let you decide what to do with them. And it goes without saying, but one thing was clear this week, the media certainly swung and they missed.